And yet another high-profile cyber attack in 2021, the United Nations appears to have suffered a breach. We're going to dive right into that and unpack everything you need to know right now. So of course, for background, y'all know what the United Nations is. If you don't, please check Google. Also, I want to know how you're living. That's cool. Let me know down in the comments. Well, attackers learned a lot about the United Nations themselves after gaining access to a user account that existed on proprietary UN software. How did they get those credentials, you might ask? Well, they actually bought them from the dark web. Now, as of right now, we don't know how those credentials were originally taken so that way they could be sold on the dark web. However, it is a common occurrence that you will find user credentials for various forms of software to different kinds of organizations floating around out there. Well, attackers were able to use these credentials to log into proprietary software, not only because they bought them, but also because this account did not have multi-factor authentication enabled. That is despite the fact that the platform that these credentials logged onto does have MFA capabilities. Once in this account, attackers were able to pivot and start to enumerate other users, other different kinds of services that were on this network. Of course, they were inside the UN network, so this gave them all kinds of insight that could allow for follow-on cyber attacks, not only on the United Nations, but on any of the various countries that make up the United Nations. So how does this affect you? Now, unless you work for the United Nations, or you work with the United Nations, or you work for a company that, or you work for one of the countries that's part of the United Nations, this probably does not affect you, at least right now. That said, obviously, and this is why I cover these events on this channel, I think that it's very important that we keep an eye on these kinds of events because they really can shape different other cyber attacks and events in cyberspace in the future. And of course, there are lessons to be learned from events like this. For instance, the fact that multi-factor authentication was not enabled for this account. Even though the account had been already compromised and posted and sold on the dark web, if multi-factor authentication had been enabled, that might have prevented this attack from going any further. And so that's one thing that you can do if you're watching this video right now to ensure that your accounts and accounts in your organization have an extra layer of security is by forcing multi-factor authentication via policy and making sure that people know that they need to have that enabled for themselves. Another thing that you can do is you can make sure that you're checking the dark web for any credentials that tie back to you or your organization. And there are so many tools online that you can do this. So definitely start looking into that. But if you can catch that some accounts that tie back to you or your organization are being sold, then just change the password. That can be one thing that you can do. That may also give you an indication that other things might be compromised, and that could prompt an investigation. So with all that being said, it's not a crazy attack. This actually happened earlier this year. There are links down in the description to a couple news articles by Times and NewsWeek that I've cited for this video. But make sure that you check those out. If this was helpful for you, like this video. That really helps with the algorithm. If you have any thoughts, do comment down below. And then of course, if you're wanting to learn more about cybersecurity, do hit that subscribe button. I'm posting more every week. Also, be sure to check out the Monday show, the Cyber Monday show that is, and that's coming to you Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have all kinds of awesome stuff coming up. We got interviews, we got walkthroughs, we got crazy stuff going on. So definitely check it out. I'll love to see you down in the comment section. So we'll see you next time.